Many Namibians expressed shock over responses given by our president to journalists who asked him why he was not wearing the mandatory mask after he announced that the country would ease into phase 3 of lockdown, whilst Walvis Bay would return to phase 1. Check this out.
I'm not wearing the mask here because, look, whom do I endanger? Common sense.
Okay. Your Excellency, with respect, it's not about common sense. According to the Minister of Justice, these are not mutually exclusive regulations.
No debate. I'm not in the Parliament. Yeah.
Very well. Please touch on it too, Honourable Minister of Justice.
The father in the Namibian house is not wearing a mask. So imagine if the police comes to someone and say, please wear your mask. Someone may say, but the president is not wearing his mask. So
they don't use common sense.
How are we going to deal with this?
Use your common sense. Who do I affect here?
But common sense does not exist all the time.
Please ask the question.
Anyways.
Walvis Bay Councillor Ipinge visited Tribe Fire Studios this week, and I asked him to share his thoughts on the manner in which the president responded to questions by the press on his non-compliance with COVID-19 regulations.
I think leadership style comes into play. Leadership style in a sense to say, what is it that you really stand for? With that, initially, it guides actually the rest of the process. So as a leader, do I choose to be imposing things on people and not be an example to them? Or do I choose to actually be the example, then motivate them to also follow suit? So it is actually based on your leadership style and how you choose to position yourself. And with that, I cannot speak on behalf of someone else. So with the president, it is very important when speaking about the president, we should also understand him as a person. And this is one thing I believe in. I believe actually in understanding people than just be the person who judge someone from far. I can never take away the fact that the president is a good administrator. And that actually goes as far back as the drafting of our constitution, the work he has put in as a prime minister and then leading up to him becoming a president. But then it changes completely. Being an administrator and then being a president, it changes because now it's executive. Executive in a sense to say, what is his initial approach towards how he implements? Now, this is how I see it. This is my version of how I see things. The president has entrusted a lot of trust in people he believes can deliver. These individuals then need to implement. The same way he was entrusted with responsibilities, for example, by the former president with the prime minister role. So as an administrator, he was in a position to actually execute this based on his skills and qualifications. Now, him entrusting someone else, do they then return the favor the same way? Or do they do it differently? With that then, at the end of the day, what does it lead to? It leads to certain things like either you reshuffle or you get rid of the incompetent people. And that is a decision at his discretion. Now you look at a councillor, for example, who is in Walvis Bay, not appointed by anyone, but then appointed by the people, for the people. My work is based on what the people want. Now the question will come, what is the driving force between the implementation of the president? Definitely he's guided by a party. He's coming on a party ticket. The party has a manifesto. So this remains his guiding principle. How the party choose to do their business, it's through their structures, through their manifesto that is there. Now with me, it comes with the people. Whether it is the same party or other parties or people with no political affiliation, it is at my discretion to see what is right and what is wrong. And with that only, we can say leadership styles and how we approach this will always differ, and whether you do right or wrong, there will be those who will be happy, there will be those who won't be happy. And at this stage, my honest opinion is, I cannot judge the president for the way he's running the country. I can only add value to ensure that we do things correct.
Courage the comedian has not had much to laugh about with the effects of the COVID-19 on social distancing and the arts in general.
My brother, I do not want to be retrogressive, But I would like to be progressive and tell you that it's 2:15. You see, that's why we talk like, that's why we have a lot of airs, because, data. No, it's nothing. Like, Namibians have no time. They speak now, think later.
As an artist, it's that time where you question yourself, like on your thoughts, like and in your life decisions, like, was it really a good choice for me to choose art as a career? Because I'm one of those artists who do it full time. I don't dilly-dally. I'm not 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't do it when I have free time. It is my livelihood because it's something I wanted to do from a very young age, So now it's hard because we come from a black community, black culture, which is so influenced by the West that our parents always think that you have to be a doctor, you have to be an engineer. So if you become rebellious and say, I'm going to prove you wrong, I'm going to do arts, then a pandemic comes and you're not getting paid and you don't have money. Now you have to call them and ask for them to help you with rent when you know they're barely making it themselves. Then it becomes a thing of I told you so, art doesn't work, you should have left it, you should have done this. Then you start doubting yourself, you start thinking you wasted a lot of years, It's hard because at times you wake up and you're thinking, let me just have one meal. I can't have breakfast and lunch and dinner. Let me just have breakfast and one in the afternoon. Then I drink water and I keep myself busy. Then I'll have lunch the next day. Then I'll have supper the next day because there's no source of income. We're performing online, we're doing this, but we're not getting paid for it. We're doing it for the love. So it's not only me, it's the artist. And some artists are lucky. They have sponsorship, they have ambassadorship. But what about the minimums on the poster? The guys who perform early before the A-listers come. Those guys depend on that small gig, even if they're getting peanuts compared to the A-list performers. But they depend on that. They are basing on that.
He made an impassioned plea to the business community to reach out to artists.
With this pandemic, we all need to work together. It's no longer each man for himself and God for us all. It's now we need to put our minds together, we need to come together. I've realized that people think I'm looking for a pity party or I'm looking for attention. But it's not that. It's that I'm trying to show people the seriousness of the situation and come up with solutions. And my solutions are, let's come together. We are artists. People listen to artists. A joke goes viral, but a newsletter about COVID-19 doesn't. So why not corporates use artists? Right now, people are social distancing. Not a lot of people are allowed in shops. Companies, why not use the artists to market for you? Online is the next thing. You're seeing DJ Dreas doing his 5-minute finesse. Why not approach him and say, okay, say our company brings you this, let's pay you. Then it becomes 5 minutes finesse brought to you by TriFire. Things like that. Other countries do it. My country does it. Nando's is one of the best examples of it. They incorporated arts into their marketing. That's why you see people now buy Nando's because of the adverts. They now feel like they're family. They feel like they're brass. Because Nando's is there on Twitter replying to everyone. Throwing puns, doing back and forth. So why not why can Namibian companies do it? I hope my message is clear that it's not a pity party. I'm just trying, and I'm not trying to compare that we are suffering, a lot of people are suffering, everybody is suffering. But I'm saying arts were there for you when the lockdown started. They kept you entertained at home. Now, reach out to them as well. They've been neglected. They need you. They won't say it, but I have the courage to say it on their behalf.
This has made me realize that maybe, just maybe, the people who invented Oshiwambo were blind. Because that's the only way it would make sense. They are blind people. Hi, how are you? Pauli.
The harbour town of Walvis Bay has been placed back under phase 1 of lockdown regulations after restrictions were lifted and more than 1,000 Namibians descended on the coastal towns recently. Since then, more cases of coronavirus have been recorded. A truck driver who was reported to have escaped quarantine and visited a number of establishments along his route through the Trans-Kalahari Highway to the coast caused panic throughout the country, prompting independent candidate and Walvis Bay Councillor Knowledge Ipinge to order the shutting down of a number of affected companies, including Standard Bank at the town, which the driver says he visited. Information Minister Paya Mushalenga said that Ipinge acted beyond the scope of his power in doing so.
I can give you a situation with COVID-19. There's the announcement which was made by the Ministry of Health about the truck drivers who run from the quarantine facilities. According to the brief and what the minister communicated, it was a situation of a truck driver that ran from the facilities which are actually run by a private company as well as the municipality of Walvis Bay. So this driver ran away, went into the community. He was arrested by the police. But this specific driver is not case 21. Case 21 was actually staying at the quarantine facility of the company he works for, which is FP du Toit. So now it comes to the question, who briefed the minister? So that person who briefed the minister, it's where the communication breakdown came in. The minister can only communicate what is given to him by the Ministry of Health officials on the ground. I had to rectify the situation because I'm responsibility for the community within my constituency. Hence why I ended up sending out a press release just to clarify matters, to say that truck driver who is case 21 initially went out jogging, and there were the 3 of them. When they went out jogging, the Ministry of Health visited the facilities to come check their temperatures, and they found out they are not there. So their management was initially contacted, and the management contacted them, and within between 7 and 10 minutes they were back at the facilities. But when they came back there, they didn't find any police nor the Ministry of Health officials. Only the next day the Ministry of Health as well as the police showed up at the depot together with their management. So that is the real story on the ground. At the same time, when the minister was briefed, no one have touched on the fact that this truck driver came from South Africa, who is case 21, through the Beta Post, visited OK Foods in Gebhardt, at the depot in Windhoek for 2 days, visited Pick and Pay in Okahanja, which in my press release initially, I communicated to say it's OK Foods Okahanja, because at the time he shared the information with me, he was in a state of panic also. So some information he had forgotten or he made mistakes, which is humanly, and it's nothing. But then the next day he rectified it to say, no, it's actually not OK Foods Okahanja, it is Pick and Pay in Okahanja. So that was the communication, and we tried to fix it. Now, a cabinet meeting happens on the 26th of May, which discussed initially the action which I have taken. Now, in the same press release that is released, Honorable Paya Mushalenga mentions that contact tracing have been conducted, and they have established that the case 21 visited these specific places. And specifically, he mentioned in that press release, OK Foods Okahanja, which at the time we knew it was normal OK Foods Okahanja. So the question comes, did he copy and paste that from the press release which I sent out and not pick up that I actually rectified it? Or did he get it from the Ministry of Health? How do you then blame that on presidency? How do you blame that on the minister himself? You can only blame it on us on the ground. So this is actually very important. When we're talking about government, we should know that government is a unit. And this unit needs to be proactive. It needs to work together. And that is why we have structures. At constituency level, we have the Disaster Risk Management Committee, of which I'm the chairperson. All stakeholders, including the sectoral government offices, are part of the stakeholders within the Disaster Risk Management Committee, which I'm the chairperson of. So Ministry of Health is included in that same committee. But if they don't bring the information to that platform, definitely information won't reach me as a chairperson. But then at the same time, we also have coordinators. We have volunteers who are on the ground on a daily basis. So they pick up this information and they will then feed that back. But then the information will reach me definitely first as the chairperson. So I'm more in a position whereby I'll have first-hand information. Then I can then wait either for a disaster risk management committee meeting, which definitely is normally happening only quarterly, with an exception now of COVID-19, of which we now have, for example, different communication platforms. As a regional councillor, for example, I share information with the chief regional officer. Chief regional officer share information with the chairperson of the regional council. Regional council then make a decision. Then that information, we give it to the governor. Then governor share it with the executive director. Executive director with the minister. Minister, prime minister. Prime minister, presidency. So tell me now, a situation like case 21 happens on a Saturday in Walvis Bay. Do I then follow that process, or do I act proactively and then give reports? So that is what we always need to take in consideration. But then, because I'm coming in as an independent candidate, it's a different ball game. It is more looked at through a political lens than actually me being part of government. And we should do away with the culture whereby we want to label people based on their political backgrounds or where they come from. The moment I'm sworn in, I am part of government. I am a regional councillor. We should respect that part. And for someone to actually refer to me as an independent candidate, which ended on the 15th of January, they are actually breaking the oath which I've taken. And I can actually take action against that.
The Black Lives Matter movement has once again taken center stage worldwide following the murder of George Floyd, a man murdered by Minnesota policeman Derek Chauvin. A worker in a shop called the police after suspecting that George Floyd had used a counterfeit $20 to buy cigarettes. The Washington Post reported on how George Floyd met his tragic end.
On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, died after a white police officer, holding his knee on Floyd's neck, pinned him to the pavement while he was in handcuffs. In the days that followed, public outrage grew over what some protesters and lawmakers said is another case of police brutality against a black man. The Washington Post reconstructed some of the events surrounding the death of Floyd, using private security footage and audio of EMS calls, as well as cell phone video. In Minneapolis, the incident occurred on the corner of East 38th Street and Chicago Avenue. A security camera outside the Dragon Walk restaurant at the corner captured an initial police interaction with Floyd. The footage obtained by the Post begins at 7:50 p.m. The camera didn't capture the audio of the encounter. The timestamp on the video is 24 minutes ahead of current time, according to the owner of the restaurant, Rashad West. On the corner, facing Chicago Avenue, is the Cup Foods convenience store. According to Jamar B. Nelson, a spokesman for the owner of Cup Foods, two men, including Floyd, used counterfeit currency to purchase items. The employees noticed the men were still outside of the shop, inside a blue Mercedes SUV, and went to speak with them. Floyd is in the driver's seat. While they're outside of the shop, at 8:01 p.m., the police are called for a report of a forgery, according to the department. Officers from the Minneapolis Police Department arrive at Cup Foods. Two officers walk into the store, and a minute later, leave and cross the street to the blue SUV. An officer goes to the door. Behind the SUV, in a Ford Mercury, a bystander at 8:10 p.m. started filming the exchange between Floyd and the officer. The view is partially obscured, but shows the moments before Floyd is handcuffed. What appears to be a brief struggle occurs before Floyd exits the car. Floyd is handcuffed. Only part of the conversation between Floyd and the officers is captured in the footage. A minute later, an officer seats the handcuffed Floyd against a wall. And a minute after that, stands Floyd up on his feet. The Minneapolis officers then walk Floyd across the street to the sidewalk in front of Cup Foods. In the view from the camera at the restaurant, Floyd appears to be placed against the police car outside the store and falls. Officers pick him back up and put him back against the police car door.
Right now. Check his pulse. Check his pulse. Okay. Check his pulse, Tal. Tal, check his pulse. Tal, check his pulse, bro. Bro, check his pulse, bro. You bogus, bro. You bogus. Don't do drugs, bro. What is that? What do you think that is? You call what he doing okay? Get back on the street. You call what he doing okay? You call what you do? You call what he doing okay, bro? Are you really a firefighter?
Yes,
bro.
I am from Minneapolis.
Okay. Bro, you think that's okay? Check his pulse.
Check his right.
Child, check his pulse.
Get back on the
check. The man ain't moved yet, bro. The man ain't moved yet, bro.
Okay. Where? Minneapolis.
Okay. Bro, you're a bum, bro. You're a bum, bro. You're definitely a bum, bro.
Tell me what it is. Tell me what his pulse is right now.
Check the pulse. Bro, he has not moved not one time.
He's off track right now.
Bro, go back in the store.
America has seen an eruption of protests, some violent, throughout the country, despite the outbreak of coronavirus, and the whole world has been incensed by this issue, with demonstrations taking place around the globe. An activist, Tamika Mallory's speech has gone viral following this incident.
This city, this state, would prefer preserving that white nationalism and that white supremacist mindset over arresting, charging, and helping to convict 4 officers who killed a black man. That is the reality of what we're dealing with. This is not just a few cops doing things across the country. This is not a good cop versus bad cop situation. This is Ahmaud Arbery being shot down by white men on the streets of Georgia. Breonna Taylor being killed in her home. This is in New York City, where we were until freedom. We were just in New York fighting the police officers who, in the name of social distancing, were damn near killing black young people on our streets. This is a coordinated activity happening across this nation. And so we are in a state of emergency. Black people are dying in a state of emergency. We cannot look at this as an isolated incident. The reason why buildings are burning are not just for our brother George Floyd. They're burning down because people here in Minnesota are saying to people in New York, to people in California, to people in Memphis, to people all across this nation, enough is enough. And we are not responsible for the mental illness that has been inflicted upon our people by the American government, institutions, and those people who are in positions of power. I don't give a damn if they burn down Target. Because Target should be on the streets with us, calling for the justice that our people deserve. Where was AutoZone at the time when Philando Castile was shot in a car, which is what they actually represent? Where were they? So if you are not coming to the people's defense, then don't challenge us when young people and other people who are frustrated and instigated by the people you pay. You are paying instigators to be among our people out there throwing rocks, breaking windows, and burning down buildings. And so young people are responding to that. They are enraged, and there's an easy way to stop it. Arrest the cops. Charge the cops. Charge all the cops. Not just some of them, not just here in Minneapolis. Charge them in every city across America where our people are being murdered. Charge them everywhere. That's the bottom line. Charge the cops. Do your job. Do what you say this country is supposed to be about, the land of the free for all. It has not been free for black people, and we are tired. Don't talk to us about looting. Y'all are the looters. America has looted black people. America looted the Native Americans when they first came here. So looting is what you do. We learned it from you. We learned violence from you. We learned violence from you. The violence was what we learned from you. So if you want us to do better, then damn it, you do better.
And with that, it's a wrap. Stay woke with It's a Wrap by following us on our social media pages.